Good morning, guys. I wanted to kind of show you what's going on this week. Let me click on our homepage. Today, I know that I'm getting this out to you late, and so I have extended your Wednesday assignments until Thursday at 2 o'clock. I have to still do attendance. I have a certain deadline, so if I'm trying to give you as much time as I can so that you can get that into me. There's 2 assignments. It's pretty much just like all our other weeks. But let's go ahead and look. When you come to your home page, go ahead and click on the Week 3 Overview Wednesday Assignments. Hold on. Okay. And what you're doing this week is very similar to your last 2 weeks where you had Essay 1 and Essay 2. So this is simply Essay 3. And if you remember at the very beginning of the class, I kind of mentioned that Essay 2 and Essay 3 would eventually be combined into your research paper. So I'm kind of saving you a step. It seems like a lot of work, but I am helping you in a way that hopefully after this essay you'll see. So what I'm essentially doing is playing off of Essay 2. And I really took the research paper and divided it into 2. Okay, so what's happening this week is that you will go back to Essay 2 and you will keep the same 3 characteristics for BPD, borderline personality disorder, that you had for Annie, and the same 3 scenes. So, for example, I noticed a lot of you used explosive or inappropriate anger. And then you matched it with when she spilled soup on Paul, when she found out about the cussing in the novel. Okay, so if you chose that for your first body paragraph in Essay 2, you're going to keep those things. Okay, so unless, now you could change it up, but it's going to be so much easier for you if you just keep the same 3 characteristics and the 3 scenes or clips from the film that you chose. Okay, so let me show you what we're doing this week. All right, so here's the instruction sheet. That's the first thing for Essay 3. What you're doing is continuing to create a psychological eval of Annie Wilkes. Okay, so you started that Essay 2. Now you're going to go a little bit further this week. So last week you diagnosed her with borderline personality according to her behavior. So you looked at some things she said and some things that she did in 3 scenes from the film and showed me how they match those symptoms. So in Essay 2, you did a good job of arguing that she has BPD. So what you're going to do in this essay is you're simply going to take same characteristic, same scene, and show me how certain film devices or techniques that are used in the scenes help to further emphasize or highlight that particular symptom that you said. So like, let's play on that other example I just gave you about the anger. So you may look at the same characteristic, same scene, but instead of looking at Annie's behavior, you're going to look at the camera's behavior pretty much. So there might be things like sound. Does the music get really intense when she shows that anger? That would be one thing you would say, because that would draw the audience's attention to the music getting more intense. Is there a close-up of Annie's face when she gets angry and you can see like the veins pop out, or you can see her eyes crinkle, or you can see like the little beads of sweat, to further emphasize that right now she is in super angry mode, like the scowl on her face. That's what we're talking about, okay? So set up very similar. Paragraph 1, pretty much your introduction that you had in Essay 2, same intro. Okay, because we're talking about the same thing, we're just looking at film devices instead of Annie's behavior. So paragraphs 2, 3, and 4, which are essentially your body paragraphs 1, 2, and 3, using the same characteristic of borderline that you used in Essay 2 in the same scene, show how film devices. And then paragraph 3, or your second body paragraph, same characteristic as number 2, and the same scene, and then using the same characteristic of the third characteristic that you used and the same scene, show how film devices. So guys, really what you're doing is the same thing you did in Essay 2, except instead of talking about Annie's actual behavior, you're looking at the film devices. How did the director, as if the director had the same opinion as you, that she has BPD, and you're looking at this particular characteristic, how does the director show through camera shots or sound or lighting to show that she really does have this disorder. Okay, same thing, 600 to 700 words. You're going to have some citing. It's still the film entry, which I've included on your template. And there's a new one, because instead of quoting like the article about the BPD symptoms, you're simply going to be defining the film device that you used. And then, of course, your 3 film clips, which is the exact same from Essay 2. All right, scrolling down, so there's your sheet. A couple of things to look through. One is the PowerPoint about film devices and how they work. So this is suspense trailer characteristics. This is a PowerPoint that goes through and tries to explain to you all the different characteristics. Okay, so there's, let me just kind of go through because that's a lot of, here it is, sound, graphics, content. These are all things that you can pick and talk about in your thing. So there's theme songs, there's voiceovers, there's dialogue, screams, sound effects. There's a lot of sound. Sometimes it's silent. Is there a point where there's no music? Does that highlight how scary Annie is? Possibly. All right, graphics, content, and there's a lot of different examples in here that you can look at. I also have a video where I go through and explain this that I'll also use for you there. Okay. All right. There's also a film device handout. I made this for you so you can really see the different types of film terms. So they're just like a little quick thing of things you can look at when you talk about, like, here's a close-up, that's an extreme close-up, that's a medium shot, that's a long shot. Okay, so that just kind of helps you understand what you're looking at, the different categories that we can look at. All right, now here is the actual film terms that I want you to use. So let's say you're going to do close-up. And I'm sorry, this is not the right way I wanted it to go. So I click right here, and I can open it right here, and I can see it a lot better. But this way, I can look through it. So let's say close-up is one y'all might all use. So here it is. It's a shot that often shows a part of the body filling the frame, traditionally a face, but possibly a hand, eye, or mouth. Okay, so that kind of helps you define it. Now, if you're going to use sound as one of your film devices, there is no need to define that. Sound is pretty easy. Let's say you use close-up for your first characteristic in scene, and you use it for your third characteristic in scene. You do not have to redefine it. Okay, that's simply define it one time. But let's see, long shot is one that somebody might use. Low angle shot, all of those might be used. But do remember to check the home page, because I will have videos going through those PowerPoints to kind of help further explain the devices and how they work. All right, going back here, after you've looked through all of that, I put in here your misery film clips in case you need to relook at your clips. Remember, you're using the same 3 that you used last week. All right, here's your outline for this week. All right, you'll notice that the introduction is going to be exactly the same as your Essay 2 intro, except your thesis changes. The director of Misery, Rob Reiner, illustrates Annie's disorder by using different film techniques and key scenes from the films. So we're using film techniques right here, not her behavior. So that's the only thing that changes from the intro from Essay 2. All right, then you'll notice body paragraph 1, topic sentence, the film devices and techniques in the scene where Annie discovers her favorite character is dying, help to further emphasize inappropriate anger. Okay, so I just use our example I used earlier. So it's, you go back to Essay 1, the first scene you talked about goes in this blank, describe it, don't name it, help to further emphasize, and put the first characteristic that you matched with the Essay 2 scene. Okay? And then you just simply say one film device used in this scene is, and you know, sometimes you might want to say something else besides used, described, is, and you may say a long shot. And then you're going to define it. And I gave you an example about how to do it. You've got to have an opening. So according to Gossick et al., and et al. Just simply means there's more than one author besides our friend Gossick. A close-up shot is a, open quotes, because this comes from the original handbook, shot that often shows a part of the body filling the frame, traditionally a face, but possibly a hand, eye, or mouth. End it quotes, and then you have page numbers that you can look at, like if you go here, and let me find a close-up for you. Oh, there it is. Okay, so that's the one I used, 203. Okay, so I come back here, and you'll see 203. All right, explain what the film device is and how it's used in the film. How is it used to portray that characteristic? So we talked about the close-up. It shows how angry she is. It shows her scowl. It shows her face. It shows how beady her eyes get when she's that angry. You're just kind of describing how these film devices help to show the characteristic that you've pinpointed. All right, and in that same paragraph, you can have another film device. So you can have a long shot. You can talk about sound. You can talk about lighting. Again, if you use sound, you do not need to define it. Okay, and if you're just talking about general lighting, you don't need to define that either. Now, sometimes there's low-key lighting. There's highlight. There's a spotlight. Those you would. Okay, and again, explain what it is. Now, some of you might be very thorough with your one film device, and if that's the case, you probably don't have to do the second device. But if you're looking for words, then do 2 film devices per scene, per symptom. Okay, but if you kind of go and you keep writing, do 1 film device. That'll be plenty. All right, I've also given you an example. It'll be pretty much the same as it was for the first one, except that I gave you an example thesis that kind of matches the one I gave you. Use the thesis that I suggest to you in the original outline. Okay, please use those, and use my topic sentences. Those are fine for you to use. All right, and here's one where I actually go through and show you how to do it, and I'm using Carrie instead of Misery. But the film devices in the scene where Margaret drags her daughter into the prayer closet help to further show explosive or inappropriate anger. One film device used in the scene is sound. Notice I don't define it because sound is sound. So how does sound work in this scene? The music in the scene reflects how angry Margaret is at her daughter. The music doesn't seem to have a melody, and the orchestra-like sound mimic a screeching sound. Also, Carrie's screams are so loud and irritating, which point to the senselessness of her mother's anger. In other words, I'm just showing how anger shows how angry Margaret is. Another film device used in the scene is a long shot. All right, a long shot needs to be defined. So have your opening. According to Gossick et al., a long shot is, open quote, a shot that shows the full human body, usually filling the frame and some of its surroundings. End your quote. They're the page numbers. And then how does a long shot help show anger? A long shot is used to show the entire scene between both Carrie and her mother. The director used a long shot so that the audience can see the irrational behavior of Margaret, and at the same time, the audience can see how hurtful her mother's anger is to Carrie. All these devices show Margaret's use of explosive anger. Okay, so that's simply the sample. So when you finish yours, turn it in, and remember I gave you an extension Thursday by 2. Your second assignment due is your Works Cited page. Very simple. I have again added how to cite a YouTube video because you will have the 3 clips just like Essay 2. Okay, I have given you a template. So here's the 3. That's the template for the 3 scenes. And then here's the workbook, the handbook of the film terms. And then you have to include the film entry since that's what you're using. So make sure you have both of these. You just leave them. You just have to fill that in. So very easy. You're pretty much copying and pasting. That's also due not until Thursday at 2. And that's where you would turn it in. All right, so I haven't put your videos yet on the home page, but I will. Just remember to get to all of your assignments, to come to our home page and click on the Week 3 Overview Wednesday assignments. Okay, I hope you have a great day, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.